DP, we are meeting after many years in Goa.
That's true.
So in between, what have you been doing? Can you just highlight?
I've been through jobs until I landed this current gig, and so it's been over a year now, a year and a half.
Zenworks.
Yeah, in novel, and so I've been doing what they say QA automation using Python. So I'm still in touch with open source through Python. That's my main aim.
Yeah, and what is the role of Python in the product?
Role of Python is majorly used in our industry to automate what we call test cases. So basically we write down what you would normally do as a user as programmed instructions, and then it repeats that in the script. The script then reruns that automatically.
You think Python is a powerful tool in that sense, and why?
It is, in one way, it is powerful because it is very well suited for it. We can write scripts faster in Python because of the ease of the language, and we can get more automation done. Automation has a big impact on how much testing can be covered. At the same time, I feel the developers should also take Python seriously because they're only using it as what they call as a glue tool to connect other language objects or to do automation. But main core focus should be on development also, and some products should be developed through Python, not just testing done.
I remember you as a very young member of the Linux user group and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel you gained from your experience, you learned? How? If so, how?
I can never lose anything from experience with the Linux group, and it's if nothing, I've always gained confidence in what I believe in as far as open source is concerned. If you must know, I've had let's say a Linux only focus, like a Linux only workstation with its work or its personal. I've not touched Windows since 2010, so that confidence only comes with the urge or the will to learn and be fully independent of anything that's not Linux and open source. And now at work obviously dictates what I must work on. At the same time, it's still mostly Linux and open source for me.
Your field was MCA, BCA? MCA.
Yes.
So now this is a bit of hardcore programming in that sense, your current work?
No, my program, it's not hardcore programming.
Okay.
It's because the programming happens on the development side. I'm doing the testing. So in that, the automation would mean, for example, if you wanted to test if LibreOffice writer can save a document, manually you would open LibreOffice, you would let's say type something into it and click on save. I would write the program which would do this automatically. So you can understand the scale. It's like the steps are already given out. I have to just write the code to do that automatically. So it's not creative, but at the same time it requires a bit of programming skills.
Are you in touch with any of the old timers from the group then, way back then?
Way back then, no, I don't think. I only read through the group messages, the FSUG messages, but that's about it.
You think some people say that GNU Linux doesn't need any promotion at this stage. What's your view on this?
GNU Linux doesn't need any promotion. I guess only two people would say that: ones who are completely convinced and ones who don't want to do anything with it. So promotion in the sense, maybe we need different ways of promoting. I think people who are jumping on the the bandwagon for luring away XP users are not focusing their efforts correctly, because we Indians understand why we prolong our positions more than they need to be. We don't give away things, right? So XP for other countries, they may have switched over to 7, but for us it's like what works. We don't want to change that. And if things work on that, it should ideally work the same on the new one. But then still, it's always better. When you're promoting, it's always better to understand who you're talking to. So if that person is his livelihood is based on Windows, you cannot change that, right? I mean, it's difficult. And if someone is, but if there are people, like say someone elder to our generation, who are more interested in the utility of the machine rather than how it looks and works, they can adjust easily. And they're also at the same time, being elders, they are good to influence the people following them. So it's always good to promote to them first.
You were first involved with free software, open source in the year?
I think from 2004, 5.
2004.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of things have happened since then. A lot of water has flown down the Mandubi. I think in some ways it's been really unsuccessful. In some ways it's been really very successful. So how would you see the glass? Half empty or half full? Because what I mean is that, see, this big battle for the desktop,
Right.
it never shaped up the way we expected it to shape up. There were all kinds of problems in terms of people using Linux on the desktop. On the other hand, in terms of becoming ubiquitous, it's all over the place in a certain sense, whether it's Android, whether it's Mac OS 10 and forward and things like that.
Right.
So how would you see it? Like, did the kind of victories happen in places we never expected and didn't happen where we were waiting for it?
I think, as you said, Linux or Starnix has been, present in places where users are not aware of. For example, Android phones, your Mac is, it's a BSD variant, not a Linux variant, and all that. What we need to understand is none of these are directly focused on the user. Even if you're considering servers, which take 70% of the market and all that, or 70 or 80%, whatever it is, none of these are directly in front of the user. For example, when you see Mac, it's a different ballgame altogether. When you see Android, their interoperability tools will be friendlier with Windows than on Linux, even though it's built on Linux itself. So even those who are making variants of Linux, like Android and other platforms, they are still targeting the Windows users, not the Linux users. And at the same time, if you see on the desktop side, Ubuntu is a big name who has done a lot for the users. But again, you would find that they are adding features which are Ubuntu specific only, and they are not releasing it to the upstream. So the open source community as a whole is not benefiting from Ubuntu as such, and they themselves, now read that they are moving towards cloud computing. So I think the desktop as such the desktop concept itself will not be much significant going forward, when people would they won't be buying computers, but they will be utilizing cloud resources.
One of the saddest things that has happened is the passing away of some of our friends, people a little bit senior to us, Atul Chitnis, even in Delhi, So how would you look back at that? Has the movement fragmented? Have we lost our vision along the way?
I think
Raju Mathur,
correct. I was only familiar with Mr. Atul Chitnis, and that also because I attended FLOSS in Manya. I would say those people had very strong and concrete visions, much far than we could see, and they drove things in their own particular way. And at the same time,
whether we agreed with them or not, sometimes we didn't agree in that sense.
That should how leaders be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for us, it's like for me personally, when I had to focus on my career and I had to move out of this place, actually I didn't connect over there, I didn't form over there. So I was basically right now being out of touch with everyone. The only thing that keeps me grounded to still loving Linux and Python is my home computer and my work itself. So I think throughout my work, yeah, I've been through Python. Fortunately I didn't have to work on anything other than that. So personally, I've been keeping myself informed, but as a group, I don't think I've contributed much in the last few years to promote this open source.
Whatever, we all have our guilt complexes about that. But in terms of mentoring
I
young
think,
people,
I would take a positive view to it. I mean, there were people who would tell us, right, the Goa group, that we would preach more and do less. I do more now and preach less.
okay,
So,
okay,
yeah.
okay. But in terms of preaching, do you think it can even that can actually mentor youngsters, shape them at a formative stage, take them forward compared to what they would have otherwise gone? Do you think you share that view with me?
We need a combo package. Uh,
Okay, tell.
Yeah, we need a combo package in which we need both to impart education as well as follow that through with hands-on. Because unless people see what you're talking about, they'll not realize. They would imagine something always which is different from reality and which contradicts what they're used to, what they're comfortable with. And so we need to both do the preaching as well as the practicing.
So one last question, let me commit you on tape here. When you come down next, what would you like to talk on at one of our Tech Hour series, which we are just anticipating to build up?
Take hour?
Yeah, Tech Hour.
The full hour?
You have an hour to spend any way you want. You can get part of it down to questions or interaction. So we'll keep you going, you don't worry about that.
So right now, I don't know what kind of audience are we expecting right now. So I think we should have a vote for topics. I think people should post in topics, and then I can probably raise my hand for a topic on the group.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot and all the best.